If you love boxing, you're gonna love this.
Hello and welcome to episode 25 of the BoxNation podcast. I'm your host Dev Sani, and this week joining me is a man who, despite not having a single G in his name, is absolutely a certified G. It is, of course, Mr. Steve Lillis.
Oh, when I become a G, it shows my age, Dev, because I'm only just getting the meaning of G through my daughters. So, I'll take it.
What's your understanding of it then? What do you think a G is, Steve?
Cool guy, isn't it? Something like that. One of the best. I'll have that all day long from you, Dev.
Just sort of generally very well respected, and that's how I see you, Steve. I'd imagine you're respected in the boardroom and probably the bedroom as well, Steve Lillis, eh? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Hey, that's a bit of a carry-on joke this time of the day from you, Dev Sani.
So you did a marathon at the weekend, am I right?
I did a half marathon at the weekend, mate. I had a great night watching the boxing Saturday night. Got up in 75-degree heat the next morning and smashed round Manchester, 13.1 miles in under 2 hours, which isn't bad for an old boy in his mid to late 50s.
It's not bad at all. Did you win then?
Not quite, no, not quite.
Next time, Steve. What's the point in doing it? You're not going to win, eh?
Oh, brutal.
This week, we reflect on some of the best action from the weekend. Josh Warrington, he did it. He became the IBF World Featherweight Champion. Mason Cartwright, his lip was hanging off against Darren Tetley. We speak to both of those fighters in that epic fight from Leeds. We look back on a little bit more, we look forward, we look up, we look down. It's a great show. Stick with us and enjoy. Well, where else can we start? There's nowhere else to start. This Saturday, just gone, Leeds warrior Josh Warrington realised a dream. He defeated his arch rival Lee Selby to pick up the IBF World Featherweight title. He did it at the home of his beloved Leeds United Ellen Road. He did it with the Kaiser Chiefs playing him into the ring. He did it with Lucas Radaby walking him out. And he did it when most boxing experts had written him off. Here's the newly crowned IBF champion on the phone to Steve Lillis.
Josh, fantastic to have you on the BoxNation podcast. Everyone's seen the fight. Everybody's talking about you. What are your emotions now, 3 days after the fight?
Still on cloud nine, Steve. I thought I had about 4 or 5 hours sleep. Still on a big eye. But when you've had a massive build-up, a massive rivalry going on, it's been 2 years or so between me and Lee when this fight's been sorted out, and then the massive, run up in the fight with the media and the training and everything else. It all come to a good end on Saturday night. It's gonna be hard to come down from all that.
When you look back on your career so far, you do your training a bit differently. Like your dad, for example, is in charge, but he's never. It seems to me that he's never scared to take advice and bring people on board. And when I saw you in the picture in the ring the other night, and everyone was Team Warrington, they all generally are, because they have a role, don't they? Like your pad man, the strength and conditioner, Nick.
Yeah, well, this is it. I mean, there's one good shot what I liked from when I watched it. When I watched the fight back, and one of the cameras pans over our corner, and I'm stood at the front of my team, and behind me you've got my dad, you've got Nick, you've got Jimmy, Abby, and Mark, and they've all got the tracksuits on, and we all stood there, and it looks like a powerful team. It looks like I certainly know what everyone does behind the scenes, and I looked at that and I thought that's a team ready to take on the world. And like you say, my dad's not one of them diddle who thinks it's all about him and he deserves all the accolade. He just does what he has to do. He has to do and he wants to do the best for me. He sees himself as head of the team, but in departments where he's not as good as maybe someone else, he'll give that role to them. So he knows that he's not as fast or as sharp on pads as he used to be, or can't keep up with me now. So and his hands are bad. So he got a pad man in and going into world level. He knows that you need more eyes and more opinions. So we brought in Nicky Manners, and the team just grown over the years as we've gone up the levels. But it's all down to him bringing in these people.
Obviously, it took you 12 rounds to win the fight, but do you think your whirlwind start just totally threw him and took the fight away from him?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think initially he probably expected me to run straight in and be like a bull in a china shop, but I think I did it a bit more educated, hands eye. I think I had a solid defence, and I changed my angles, and also I felt like I kept my shape well. A lot of times when you see guys who leaves boxing past, who'll go forward, a lot of them tend to go over front foot, and that's when they fall onto his uppercuts and his counters, but and he's able to get away. But I just kept my distance a little bit. If he hit an angle, I was able to go with him, and if he went back, I could get with him and manage to land the shots. And sometimes I think he expected me to not still have that distance with him, but that's when I really catch him clean.
After the fight, did you get to speak to him at all, or have you messaged each other privately since?
No, a little bit disappointed with that, to be honest with you. He said prior in press conference and build up that if he were to lose, that it'd be a proud man and he'd take it on the chin. But he said he wasn't going to lose, but I believed him. I thought that he would. When I beat him, I think he would take it on the chin. But we had a brief word after the fight. I literally in the ring when the decision was announced. I said good fight, and I said, listen, I always respected you as achievements, but we're sharing things with sour. But we've had 12 rounds, and I hope to come see you in dressing rooms after. But when asked to go in, he didn't want to see me. So yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. But looking forward, everything. Look, there's so much ahead of you now as a boxer. I presume it's safe to say the Carl Frampton fight's not going to happen as soon as August, is it?
I mean, it's a little bit too soon, especially with training camp I've just started. There's been a lot of mental stuff going into this camp, as well as the training and preparing the body. There's been a lot of media, obviously a massive build-up in selling a stadium fight out, and a lot of people want your attention, so that wears you out mentally, and obviously all that carry on. The baby girls came in this world, and I had 2 minutes to just enjoy a bit of time with them, so it'd be nice to have a week or two off, and I think my body and my mind need it, just be a normal human being, and then get back in. But by the time then, I should imagine that Frank would be probably looking to have sorted an opponent out for Carl, but it's a fight I certainly want. Down the line, I said to him when I was down in London a few weeks ago, just when we were all together, that I'd happily fight him, so we'll see what happens.
If it can't take place in August, I presume it's got to wait till next summer, because it's a stadium fight, isn't it? At the biggest stadium you can fit it into.
Well, this is it. I mean, we had over 20,000 there on the weekend, and that was just my fans alone. And I know the Windsor Park only holds 20,000. And listen, he always sells well. And I know that if I were to box away, especially now with the world title on my back, I know that a lot of fans would travel with me. So the logical sense for the big numbers would be go back to Ellen Road, but like I say, it's all about what Frank and Steve come up with, and go from there.
Well, it's also about if you can make it pay-per-view in 12 months, it's about maximising revenue and earnings for yourself and Carl before you retire. Before you either retire or carry on boxing.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I say, it's becoming a dad recently. It changes your outlook on life, and now I've won the world title. You start to look at what else that you can get from this sport, and obviously I want to be part of these big fights. I want to create a legacy for the city, but I've done everything I've needed to do now and achieved everything. So all these fights now, you want to be able to go into them with a big name, but also you want to make sure that you come out with financially secure.
I mean, you've also mentioned before wanting to go to Las Vegas before you end your career.
Yeah, this is it, and I think you get through a big name like Carl, and then all of a sudden them fights just come naturally. I don't think that they could come soon. To be honest with you, even if I didn't have Carl within the next 6 months, I think people will start looking now and realise that once at world level, I've got a big crowd behind me, so it's a perfect opportunity for a perfect CV to be entered into the world of Vegas and America alike.
So for the next couple of weeks before, the next month before you start training or ticking over again, what are the plans? Are you going to go away with your young family, or are they too young to travel, your daughters?
Yeah, probably too young to travel, so if anything, we might just get out to the countryside and get like a local log cabin or something and just switch the phone off and just be a little family for a week or so. But I could imagine that in about 2 weeks' time, the running training will be on. I'll just be keeping myself in shape. I always like to keep I'm always known having a good engine in hospital. I'm always training. I'm always in gym. So probably a couple of few weeks I'll be starting getting itchy knuckles.
Yeah, and are you anything planned for a big night out with your mates to celebrate the win planned for this weekend or anything?
Yeah, we've got I've got a few occasions going on this week. One of my friends is getting married, so I'll be going down to see some of the boys. They'll be down there and enjoy his day with him. Me and Tim have got a bit of a meal to celebrate this week, and then yeah, it'd be just nice to get a babysitter and me and Mrs. go out and just have a little a bite to eat. But yeah, I think we'll over the next few weeks we'll be catching up with a few lads and just being a bit of a human being for once.
So I know it's far. I guess it might be too early, but is there any indication of when you might be back in action?
Well, obviously, if no comes in the Winter Park, one with Carl, I think we'll probably look to possibly being back at Leeds Arena maybe in September, October time.
So, Steve, you did it. Josh Warrington became Leeds' first ever world champion. Talk me through it.
It was absolutely stunning, and I think outside of Josh's camp, I can count on one hand and still chop a couple off of people that were tipping him heavily beforehand. John Rawling was the only man I know who was with him from day one. He was magnificent from start to finish. I think the first 2 rounds were key in the sense he made that blitzkrieg start and it just knocked Selby out of his stride. He got cut and it just took the fight from him. He was absolutely magnificent on the night. You can't use enough adjectives to describe how fantastic he was in that fight. Totally a staggering performance. I was blown away by it. And as for Lee, it was disappointing with a lot of things. His performance, I think the corner didn't handle the cuts well. They never had a full-time cuts man in there, and it all went wrong on the night. But that just can't take anything away from the job Josh Warrington did. He would not be denied, and it's a unique win in the sense that when we get these guys in boxing rings after fights with team this, team that on their jerseys, most of them just carry the bag and call them champ all day, whatever they do. Everyone in that team has a role. Now, Shawnee's dad isn't afraid of bringing in people for advice or listening to him. So he has his own pad man. Nick Manners is there. The guy that owns the gym in Batley, they use a lot. He's involved. Jimmy Harrington, they go to his gym in Doncaster. Everybody has a role, and it made it such a unique win. They're all different people, different personalities, those guys. Boxing isn't a romantic sport, but it brought back romance into boxing, that win. And he could kick on now and become a mainstream star over the next 12 months.
Yeah, absolutely. He was relentless. Was it a case, Steve, of it could have been King Kong in with him on that night? And I'm not talking about Luis Ortiz. I'm talking about the actual massive gorilla from the 1920s. It could have been him in there with him. And Josh Warrington wasn't going to lose in front of his people.
He wasn't going to lose everything. The Kaiser Chiefs, Lucas Radiba, who means more to him than the Kaiser Chiefs, trust me. And as someone who used to cover football in Leeds, having Lucas Radiba lead you out is something that can't be. It's like having, if you're a fan of Brazilian football, having Pele leading you out. He's a demigod in Leeds. Lucas Radiba. The Kaiser Chiefs take their name from him. Whatever happens for the rest of his career, how can that night be topped?
Well, that's what I was thinking. You had in most recent memory, you had Tony Bellew winning a world title in front of his Everton fans, and he's often said, I can't top this. Even the fights that he's had after, beating David Hay, etc., he can't top this. I wonder if we're going to see a kind of parallel with Josh Warrington. Is this a kind of peak? How can it possibly get better? Unifying, perhaps?
Unifying. It's a peak for an occasion. You know, winning your world title that you've wanted since you was 8 years of age. You know, as an occasion, it's peaked. As for performances, you think there's still improvement in him. And well, what causing an upset like that against a 4-1 on favourite is going to do for his confidence is nobody's business. So I think we could get better performances, but I don't think we'll ever have an occasion like that in boxing. And you know what? Also, I think what's got to be said, how fantastic the crowd were in there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there are a lot of these wise guys before the event, what was going to happen in the arena and all that. How wrong were they proven? It's just like everyone the next day who was saying we knew Josh was going to win, and I didn't see too many people.
I think there was actually, and I put this on Twitter as well, very strangely, there was a pocket of people online who were almost willing there to be crowd trouble at Elland Road so that the event would be marred by crowd trouble, but there was nothing. All I saw was fights in the ring, and I saw loads of people having a good time, bouncing along to the Kaiser Chiefs and roaring every punch from Josh Warrington. It was a great atmosphere and probably my best night in boxing so far.
Well, there you go, Dev. And, you know, you've followed boxing since you was a kid. You've been involved in it for the last few years. I don't need to say any more. And watching that on TV at home, you felt you were part of it. It was magnificent all round, and I thought John Rawlin and Barry Jones on BoxNation did a fantastic job on the commentary in bringing the TV viewer.
Yeah, very good. And
not that I should be praising Jones up too much, or Rawlin for that matter. Rawling's already walking around all week with his chest out, you know, after his prediction. So we'll give no more credit to Rawling anyway.
Well, tell me a little bit about Lee Selby then. I mean, a couple of things I wanted to pick up on. Josh Warrington said in his interview to you, he wanted to go in and see Lee Selby in his changing room after, and he was refused entry. What do you make of that?
Disappointing, as I think that was the word Josh used, is disappointing because, you know, they've settled their differences over 12 fantastic rounds. And I was surprised because I've got to know Lee a little bit over the last 7-8 months, when I spent some time with him in Wales, making a fighter by trade. And he's just charm personified, a lovely, lovely man. And yeah, it leaves a bit of a taste that if it was his decision to do that, I'd be disappointed in it, like Josh is. And I'm surprised at Lee because, you know, the last 6 months I've spent more time with Lee Selby, Carl Frampton and Josh Warrington, 3 rivals, than any other boxer on our roster at BoxNation. You know what? They are 3 of the best fellas you'll ever meet, but with totally different personalities. Maybe Frampton and Warrington are a bit closer. I'm surprised. And I also think, I'm not pointing at Lee here, but I think the people around him thought it was a case of just coming to taking the money and going in Leeds. I think they totally overlooked Josh Warrington.
I think so as well. I think there was a real kind of shock, even in the stadium, after those first 2 rounds, where you think Selby's not up to much here, and Warrington has really, really bossed these 2 rounds. And you know, some people were saying he might not win a round. He's going to be punching fresh air. Chris Saniger said you'd be able to hear a pin drop on the night. You certainly couldn't hear that. I get on quite well with Lee Selby. He's been very, very nice to me in the kind of in the build up. I've been helping him out on social media and stuff like that. I just wonder if he was actually asked, you know, Josh Warrington wants to see you, or I wonder if his team just kind of refused it before the request even got to him. Just a thought there.
Yeah, but yeah, you could well be right. You know, it's not for us to judge, but if that was Lee's decision, like you, Dev, you know, you've got to know him, I'd be surprised.
Well, tell me, Steve, Carl Frampton, that's where conversation seems to be heading into this fight. It seemed almost set that perhaps August would be Frampton versus winner of Warrington Selby. That was one of the options on the table. But perhaps that was more the case if Selby was going to win. Now Warrington's won. He's picked up his title. And Frampton Warrington is a huge fight. It's like a stadium sellout. Which stadium we don't know yet. And stadiums are available in a year. They're not available, you know, if Warrington's not ready for August, it's next year. What do you think of it?
It's not happening in August. Let's just forget that, Dev. It cannot happen in August. You know, Josh Warrington's had a long, hard camp. He's just come off a hard 12 rounds. You can't expect him to go straight back in the gym for another career-defining fight in Belfast. Number 2, and this is not anything. Belfast fans are brilliant. Windsor Park's too small for the fight.
What's Windsor Park? Is it 20? or 18?
20,000, I think it is. So it has to go to the biggest venue you can get it. And that has to be Ellen Road when they can make it even bigger, get up to 40,000 in there, Dev.
Yeah.
Let's be sensible. The money's got to add up. So that fight is now a year away. You can't go somewhere with it at the end of the summer, end of the year, because the arenas in Leeds and Belfast both hold 10,000. So it's a fight for this time next year. And to me, the common sense where the money adds up most will be Ellen Road, because it can hold almost twice as many as Windsor Park if you sell it out. And also over the next year, Josh's profile can grow beyond West Yorkshire with the right publicity and the right job done on him. And then this time next year, you have a pay-per-view fight as well. So you'll have 40,000 fans, a pay-per-view fight, and that means everybody involved in the show can make their money. The promoters will make their profit because they've invested. The TV networks who are putting their money in will make their money. And more importantly, the boxers will make money that will secure their futures for life. And that the bottom line is that's more important than anything. And by then, both could have a world title and it could be a unification.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. In that time between now and then, Carl Frampton could become the full version of the WBO champion. He could pick up another belt somewhere else. You never know, and suddenly you're looking at an absolute monster of a fight. So Selby, I mean, it sounds like he's going to move up. He came out to an artist called Big L, and he left Leeds with a big L, and I don't think he was really expecting it, but credit to him, and for the way he conducted himself in the face of all the hostility in the build up to fight week. He really, he didn't really care, did he? He was just being Lee Selby. He was cool and calm, and he never really bit back. But what do you see for him at 130 pounds if that's where he's heading?
That's where he's got to go. Well, it isn't where he's got to go. They've made it clear that's where they're going. He is a big featherweight. When that first bell rang on Saturday night, I thought, wow, he looks about 2 divisions bigger than Josh. It didn't count for anything within minutes. Yeah, he's going to go to 130 pound, but those injuries are nasty, particularly the left eye. So hopefully we'll see him back at the end of the year, and then next year he can make an assault on the 130 pound division. But I can't see him back in action until the end of the year anyway.
He'll have a good ranking with the IBF, won't he? Because he's a former champion. If he enters the weight division above, he'll be looked upon favourably, and I'd imagine he'll be well ranked.
Yeah, look, he's only lost twice in 28 fights, so he only needs to have a win, and there's governing bodies that will welcome him, and I'm sure he will get a chance to become a 2-weight world champion. I'm convinced of that. But there's just a couple. The main thing he's got to do in future, go in that ring. Don't save money. Go in that ring and get a cuts man in there as well. I'm not saying it made a difference the other night, but it wouldn't have been so much of a problem.
And Steve, just a quick word on Gary Russell Jr. So him and Jojo Diaz fought it out stateside, and Russell picked up the win. Diaz didn't disgrace himself. Where do you see Gary Russell fitting into this featherweight picture, and indeed Diaz?
Well, Gary Russell needs to, shall we say, be active, because he's a very, very good fighter. There can't be many fighters in the world that can match his speed. So I just want to see him active. He has that loss to Lomachenko, absolutely no disgrace there. Joseph Diaz, he's gonna be there or thereabouts. Golden Ball will make sure he stays in the picture. He's liked an American, as you say. He didn't disgrace himself. Look, the Cruz and Mares are having their own thing. They're going to fight again. And who's to say they won't have a third fight? Oscar Valdez, we don't know when he's going to be back, the WBO champion. His jaw still didn't look great when I saw him the other week. Who could Josh Warrington fight next? Who knows where he's going to go next? You look at people like maybe Nonito Donaire could be repackaged again. Ryan Walsh is calling for the fight. He lost him a couple of years ago. There you've got British interest, because Josh can't wait till next summer for Carl Frampton, and Carl can't wait for him till next summer. So I should think Josh will have a outing at the end of the year against someone in the top 15. And the problem you have with the IBF is they do like mandatory defences every 9 to 12 months. So he's going to have that problem next time this year.
Either way, we are looking forward to seeing what Josh Warrington does next. He did it. He's the IBF World Featherweight Champion. Josh Warrington, we salute you. Well, opening the show on Saturday night at Elland Road was a classic between undefeated welterweights Mason Cartwright and Darren Tetley for the WBO European title. Now, this one was a bit of a scrap, which ended during the 9th round after Cartwright suffered a now viral cut to his lip. Steve Lillis was assigned to catch up with both men. Here he is first with the winner and the new WBO European welterweight champion, Darren Tetley.
First of all, what was it like being involved in such a big event and in a fight that was a lot of people were talking about as perhaps the fight of the night apart from the main event?
It was massive. I wanted the big fights for a couple of years. I finally got my chance, and it was for a title, and also, like you say, a lot of people are talking about mine and Mason Cartwright's names, a lot more well known now after the event than it was before.
How did you pull it out in the 9th round? I know, I know he sustained that injury, but what lifted you in that 9th round? Because I think you were behind on 2 of the cards. Am I correct?
Yeah. I think a lot of people are making a big thing out of it. Not really giving me stiff, but I think I was only 1 round down, and I believe the tide was starting to turn. I knew it was going to come out quick. The plan was never to start as slow as I did, but I knew it would slow down. And I've got more determination than a lot of people realise. And there was no way I was going on without that belt that night.
I mean, I've seen 1 or 2 of your tweets, and it seems you're happy to have the rematch when you're ready and everything's right. But you seem a bit upset that people were trying to make it on Twitter.
Yeah, I can't be dealing with making fights on Twitter. At the end of the day, I spoke to Mason's manager after the fight myself, and I said, "We'll get it done." And he said, definitely, he's going to let Mason heal up and get Mason a win. If get him a win, he said, "I'll make a defence, and then he'll get Mason back into the position for another fight." So that's his manager's word, not mine. I never looked away from the fight in the first place, so why am I going to look away from it in the second place when I feel I was turning it around? And the way I look at it, I caused a knockdown in the 8th round, which made me, I'm sure I was 1 point down after the knockdown. So that gave me 2 rounds to go, and I believe I was only going to, I do think it was going down, and I was going to win the 9th round, I think. And the 10th round would have been the same if I wouldn't have stopped him. So, people are talking like I was 10 rounds down. The rounds, I think all the rounds were close. But yeah, I won't try away from a rematch. Yeah. Definitely not.
And it was quite emotional for you, because I understand you was at your grandfather's funeral just before the fight.
Yeah, my grandfather's funeral was actually the morning at 11 Friday morning before the wedding. So I weighed in. The funeral was at 11. I left the funeral at about 12:15, which is why I was nearly late to the wedding. I got to the wedding about 1:45. So, it was emotional. No one obviously knew that. But apart from people who I know, obviously wouldn't say anything. And everyone knew it passed away, but no one actually knew when the funeral was. But yeah, it was the day of the wedding was hard, but I got through it.
It's hard, but you're going to be proud. You're not just a WBO European champion. You're going to get a top 15 world ranking. Terence Crawford, Jeff Horn, watch out.
I mean, it was absolutely mad. Just talking to yourself is weird. I'm a big boxing fan, so I watch BoxNation, and I've just seen interviews. So, it hasn't even come here. I'm just a lad off the country here, and it's absolutely mad. But yeah, hopefully Jeff Horn can do a miracle. Each time Crawford, and I might have a better chance of winning that world.
So I know you're a confident fella, and you're unbeaten. I think in 16 fights. You're not calling out Terence Crawford quite yet.
No, not quite yet. I mean, if they want to pay me millions, I will go to America.
Who do you think wins that fight, Crawford and Horn? I think you've covered that.
Crawford, yeah, definitely Crawford. You know what I mean? And it's like going back to about the rematch. If a bigger fight comes up, I pulled it out of the bag. I was down. I don't know, Dan, but I think what a lot of people aren't really giving the credit for is I showed how determination to pull it out of the bag. I could have just, I was 4 rounds down in the first 4 rounds. I could have just, give in and just thought, what, I'm going to get beat here, but I didn't. Which I don't, you know what I mean? I don't think people are really crediting me for that. So if a bigger fight comes along, then, why shouldn't I take it? I think I worked hard enough in the 9 rounds to deserve a big fight. If a big fight doesn't come along, and the rematch is offered to me for more money or whatever, then, why not take the rematch? I'll do whatever my manager says is a wild fighter. That's what I've done from the beginning of my career.
Yeah, and when you look at, you after a bit, there's some good names here domestically. Bradley Skeet, Gary Corcoran. There's people like Echo Esserman coming through.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Bradley Skeet is, I believe, still, even though he got defeated, an elite to world level fighter. I still think I'm British. Maybe just on the British title level. So Bradley Skeet, I don't know what he's planning on doing now or anything, but yeah, you've got Johnny Garter, John O'Donnell, Kamuka, for the ones that I'm saying the names of them. So, there's a lot of big fights in there, and believe me when I say I'll fight any of them. If it makes sense, then I will. I'll go. I don't care where I have to go to fight, but I'll fight any of them. And after my performance, they'll probably want to fight me as well, because I got it with more than I've ever done in my 15 fights. So, I don't think they'll lose sleep over me, but, I pulled out of the bag and that's the main thing.
And just one thing, going back to the fight before we let you dash off. When you saw the lip burst open, did you know straight away the fight would be off?
To be honest, I'm going to sound like a bit second dimension. As soon as I seen the lip open, all of that went through my head was keep hitting it. Just aim for it. And that's all I was going to do. I didn't care how bad it got. I was just going to keep aiming for it. And I did have a feeling that the doctor maybe would have touched it, because it did look pretty nasty, to be fair.
Look, you say that, but if the shoe had been on the other foot, Mason would have been thinking the same. So I don't think there's anything bizarre. Are you thinking that?
No, of course he was. He was going to, like you say, if it was me, he'd have 100% aim for it. I think any fighter would. But, I managed to dig out a win. And I do believe I deserve a little bit more credit than what I'm actually getting for, not falling over and battling back to sort of start. Because I do believe after the 8th round, the Kai will turn it massively after a knockdown.
Well, apologies for some of the audio quality there. It appears there was a scene from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre taking place in the background, but you get the message. Tetley doesn't feel he's quite getting the credit he deserves for that win. Steve, we'll hear from Mason Cartwright shortly, but just run me through what you made of the fight.
It was a fantastic fight. That was the fight. Apart from the main event, people could not pick a winner. And so it proved with, what a great start that Mason made. After 4 rounds, you thought it was a case of how long before when he was going to become the WBO European champion.
Yeah.
But Southpaw Tetley bit on his gumshoe, come firing back. I still thought Mason was a little bit ahead going into the 9th round, and I think 2 of the judges had that. But look, the injury happened, horrible injury, and Tetley prevailed, and I'm sure that there will be a rematch at some stage over the next 12 months. Mason's going to need some time out for that injury to heal, and I'm sure that Darren Tetley will in the meantime defend his title somewhere and then come back for the rematch. But Darren's 16-0 now. He showed form beyond anything he showed before, though there was a bit of a whisper in the north of England that he's a decent fighter, but most of his men he'd boxed didn't have winning records, let's be honest. But he was one of the few men, I think, to stop Fonz Alexander, which takes some doing. And good luck to him. As for Mason, he must be heartbroken because he felt he was just maybe 5 minutes away from picking up that title. And I think his attitude is absolutely fantastic.
He's been he was a real delight, both of them actually, to be around during fight week. Mason Cartwright just seemed like the cat that got the cream. He was so happy to be on the big stage. you wouldn't catch him not smiling all the time. Press conferences, weighing, he's just like giggling to himself. He's got the headphones on, and he just seemed in another world. He was so happy. It's probably why they call him nutty. He did seem just like a little bit nutty. But what about the kind of temperament of Darren Tetley? It was his granddad's funeral just kind of like an hour before the weigh-in. I mean, to go through with it, to still be, you know, fully in your mind, and to put out that performance, to get the win, to win the title, it's credit to him.
It just shows that boxers are a different breed from other sportsmen. He was almost late for the weigh-in because, you know, he was at the first 45 minutes of his granddad's funeral. And if you look on, if you want to see how much his granddad meant to Darren, just look at his Twitter feed, and there's stuff on there. And I read a fantastic article, I think it was in the Bradford Telegraph and Argus yesterday, after I'd interviewed him. And his granddad was on oxygen, fighting for his life the weeks before, but still went and bought tickets for the fucks. He wanted to be there for his grandson. And, you know, it just shows that these boxers, they are just a different breed. And Mason and Darren, all I do is wish them all the best for their career, because, you know, I've never met Darren face to face, but I spoke to him on the phone yesterday. Mason, I've got to know over the last year or so. And as you say, he's just, there's such a positivity about him that I just love. And Darren, just when I was speaking to him yesterday, it's almost like he can't believe you know, you're talking of Josh Warrington's dreams coming true the other night. Darren Tetley, to a different sort of standard, shall we say, is pinching himself because he can't believe what's unfolding in his life over the last 48 hours, 72 hours.
Well, let's look at the welterweight mix, Steve, at British level. So Bradley Skeet kind of leads the bunch. He's the British champion. But now that he tried to step up to European level and, he came up against a monster, he's kind of, we don't know where he is right now. And he's going to have a target on his back from some of these British guys coming through. Maybe not so much Johnny Garton, who's his mate, but certainly your Josh Kellys, your Gary Corcoran's, Echo Essuman. Sam Maxwell seems to be going between the weights of super lightweight and welterweight as well. Where do you see Tetley and Cartwright kind of fitting into this whole British welterweight mix?
Well, I think for Mason Cartwright, it's all going to be about the Tetley rematch for him right now. So I don't think there's anything else. You know, why would you go in any other direction for him? Because he's had a fight with Tetley that's captured the public's imagination. That's the natural for him. For Darren, he'll fight anybody. You could, you listen to him. He's happy to fight anyone. Darren, I think obviously he'll think, well, Bradley Skeet's been beaten. He's still the man to beat, though, in the division. Johnny Garton, Darren Tetley is a good fight.
That's a fight, isn't it? Yeah,
that could easily be made. And the way they both fight and, you know, take punches and throw it, that's a can't miss fight. Gary Corcoran's got the Gallagher fight coming up at the end of June. Echo Essuman, now that's a name you threw in. I mean, he's been a bit quiet over the last few months. He's a good fighter. I like Echo a lot. But, you know, the promoters of the other night will be thinking more, their plan for Darren right now will be a defence and then the Mason rematch. That's what TV wants. That's what fans want. You know, settle the differences there. Who is the best when there's not an injury to end the fight, and then they can kick off from there. But look, I'm sure Darren would love someone like Skeet.
Well, let's hear from the man who actually lost the fight, but whose profile has gone through the roof in defeat with that horror film damage sustained to his face. It sounds like his newfound fame knows no bounds, and he'll actually tell us that he's appearing on a TV show with Davina McCall, who happened to be at the hospital that he was taken to after the fight. Here's Mason Cartwright.
Mason, thanks for giving us such a great fight against Darren Tetley the other night. Pictures of you have gone viral. You know, unfortunately, you lost on the injury. Tell us about that injury, how it happened and how it feels.
To be honest, when it happened, I remember getting caught with the shot, and I thought, good shot. It didn't feel the cut though. It was only until the ref pulled me to one side, I felt the blood trickle on my chest. And I thought, oh no way, cut it out. And when he took me over to the doctor, I just had the feeling it's going to be bad news. But other than that, the shot didn't rock me or nothing. To be fair, he didn't buzz me not once throughout the fight. Not even when they scored the knockdown. If you watch the video, my foot slips up in the air as he catches me, and it makes me toss over to the left. it's just one of them, and it happens in boxing. But I'll come back stronger from it.
I mean, you seem remarkably realistic, about it all, given that you were most probably 4 or 5 minutes away from becoming WBO European champion and getting a world ranking next month.
I know. That's the good thing about it. Like, all the way through the fight, I knew I was in control. Like, obviously, the fight wasn't easy. It was a tough fight. Darren Tetley's a good fighter, but I didn't feel like he pushed me to the levels that I could have gone to. Like, I was just staying controlled and showing people I can box, because he kept saying throughout the whole thing, like, he's the better boxer, I'm just a fighter. And like I said, I've only ever been able to show my fighting ability because the people I've been in the ring with haven't got the boxing ability I have. So I think getting and dusting them up in it, I might as well. But I was happy to be able to show my boxing ability, and I feel I did show it. Obviously, there's improvements to be made, and I will be making them. Maybe defence-wise, just as the rounds go on. But I felt like I was going to come back strong in that 9th and 10th round, because I had a little bit of a slide in the 8th. But it's a 10 round fight. You've got to have the odd round here or there where you're going to have a little bit of a dip. But in that 9th round, when I was coming back out, I was up for it. And I think if that 10th round did go ahead, it would have been the 10th round now, yeah.
And when the adrenaline wore off you, the excitement of having a fight and at a big stadium, what was the pain like in your lip when you was on the way to have it stitched up in hospital?
Didn't hurt. Pain. I'm not just saying pain doesn't hurt. Pain's a mental weakness. If you tell yourself it hurts, it's going to hurt 10 times worse. So you just say it doesn't hurt, you get on with it. It's part of the game. I know I'm going to get hurt at times, and I just don't let it bother me. I don't even think about it.
And I understand when you got to the hospital, there was more TV cameras there with Davina McCall, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Tell us about that if you can.
Yeah. When I got in there, there was obviously like a TV crew in there. I didn't even think twice about it at first. I just walked straight past it, and I went and checked myself in with my trainers and my mum. And I sat down, and they came over and approached me and was like, "Look, listen, we're filming a TV series for ITV. It's going to be going ahead next week. Davina McCall wants to come speak to you, and obviously ask you about what's happened, and maybe video you through your stitches and all things like that." And to be honest, like, she stayed with me for like most of the time I was in there, and I was in there for a good 2-3 hours, and we were just having a laugh. Really, she was fun to speak to, and it's going on next Tuesday or Wednesday. It's like a show about hospitals and what they're doing there. So.
Oh, mate, so you're the first defeat as a professional has given you more recognition than anything in your career as a professional so far. It's mad.
I know, it's crazy, really, and it's a shame that it has to be that way. But like I say, I know I was winning that fight, and I know I had a big 10th round in me. Like, I know I was gonna finish strong. I was telling myself I'm gonna finish strong, and then that happened. But you can't cry over spilled milk, can you? It's not that type of game where you can sit there feeling sorry for yourself. You've just got to get back to the drawing board and go again. It's just one of them. I'll come again. I'll get me revenge and move on to bigger things. I know I will, because it's the type of person I am. If anything, it's given me more desire and more hunger to come back bigger and better. So I don't see it as a defeat. If I was getting beat in the fight and it happened, I'd be like, fair enough. But I was winning the fight, and I know I'm a better boxer, and I know I'm going to push on to bigger things, so I'm not going to let it affect me.
How long do you think you're going to be sidelined for now?
I'm not too sure. The hospital didn't really give me a time scale of how long it's going to heal. It's literally just going to be a case of play it by ear and just see how it goes. I'm staying in the gym. I'm sat outside the gym now, ready to go in. I'm going to go and have a little session. I'm a gym rat. I love the whole fitness side of life, health as well. I'll be ready to go as soon as the lip's ready to be punched again. It's as simple as that. I'll be ready.
So you're going back in the gym today, just a couple of days after the fight. You're allowed a week or two off, you know.
Yeah, listen, I love going to the gym. I love going to the gym. I love being fit and healthy. Like the old saying, boxers train when they've got a fight coming up, and champions train all year round. I train all year round. I don't have camps.
Well, you know what? You've got an absolutely outstanding attitude towards what happens Saturday and boxing itself. All we can do at BoxNation is wish you all the best for your comeback, and I'm sure you'll become a TV regular now.
Yeah, hopefully. Like, this is my chance to show like I've got an exciting style. Like, I'm not scared to get in there and mix it up if we need to. But I do have a boxing ability there as well. So if obviously as the fights go ahead and the more and more fights I have, I'll be able to show more sides of me. Like, sometimes I might be able to use me brute force and strength and just dust someone up, and sometimes I might have to box, and obviously that's a good thing for the viewers, isn't it? Like, they get a bit of both. I hope everyone enjoyed the fight, and at the end of the day, it's an entertainment sport, isn't it? It's put bums on seats and entertain people, and that's what I want to do.
Japanese pound-for-pound sensation Naoya Inoue returns this weekend when he takes on Doncaster's Jamie McDonnell for a version of the WBA World Bantamweight title. It's expected that the winner will enter the World Boxing Super Series alongside champions Zolani Tete, #Tete time, Ryan Burnett and Emmanuel Rodriguez. But to help him prepare, Inoue enlisted the support of unbeaten Birmingham featherweight Raza Hamza. Now, Hamza has his own fight coming up with Lewis Petit on June 23rd at the O2 Arena. Steve Lillis gave Raza Hamza a call and asked him how his experience in Japan was.
It was amazing, Steve. From the first day I got there, it was very good sparring. I was there for 15 days. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Well, tell us about what you learned from training with such an elite boxer and what the spars were like.
I learned that, the way he approached camp, the way an elite world champion goes into training, how dedicated, motivated, how focused he was, his discipline level, and the sparring. I mean, the first day I sparred him, I was jet lagged. I woke up half an hour before the spar, but that was probably my worst day in the ring with him. Other than that, they were very good spars, and coming down the last spar, I think I really went with him, so it was really good, but not taking nothing away from him. He can punch very hard, and he's a very good fighter.
Well, what was he like to be around? Did he help you at all?
Oh, amazing! I was running with him, I was training with him daily. He still speaks to me. He messages me near enough every day on Instagram. He spoke to me about training. He spoke to me about what he thinks I should do. He was teaching me stuff on the days we weren't sparring. He was just amazing. They're very nice people.
So you were looked after out there in Japan by your host, yeah?
Yes, very looked after from the whole team.
So you wasn't one of these spars where you were put in a dormitory with 5 other boxers and pulled out when they want you?
No. It was very organised. They told us what days we were sparring, what times we were sparring, and it never changed.
And do you feel you've come back a better fighter?
I feel like I've come back a brand new fighter. I just can't wait to fight now. Just can't wait to fight and show everyone how much I've improved.
For Lewis Petit, does it mean you're going to be better than what you was before?
To be honest, like Lewis, no disrespect to him, but Lewis isn't on the level I've been sparring with. So I will just do what I've been doing, and I've just added more artery to my armor, really, I've just added more stuff to what I knew, so it's more bad news for Lewis, really, isn't it?
Well, you're telling me that it's bad news for Lewis. It's it's a big fight for Lewis, maybe more so than you, because he's at the crossroads, isn't he?
Yes, for Lewis, his career's over, really, isn't it? It's finished, but that's how I go into every fight. If I lose, I won't box again. That's how I approach boxing. That's my mindset. I can't afford to lose. To where I'm going in my career, I cannot afford a loss. I have to do whatever it takes in that ring to be victorious. This is my life, and I'm not here to take part. And all the dedication I put in, I cannot afford to lose.
So really, if you lost, then you'd most sort of if you lost for the first time, you would walk away from boxing.
It'd be very hard for me to come back, because if I say I am going to world level and I'm going to be a world champion, I mean, no disrespect to Lewis, but these fights I should be winning. These fights I should be winning, and I should be winning with comfort. No disrespect to Lewis, that's just the way I am and the way I'm going in my career. I can't be affording slip-ups right now.
And what's your plan for the next few weeks? Are you in Birmingham, or have you moved back to Manchester now after being in Japan?
I'll be in Birmingham on the weekends, but on the weekdays, Monday to Friday, I'm in Manchester, and all I'm doing is training. I'm enjoying the weather. My weight's coming down gradually, and I'm just training. And I think I'll be going away to Scotland for sparring. But other than that, I'm just training and listening to what my coach is telling me daily, and just getting on with it.
And finally, before we let you go, just ask you about another featherweight at the weekend, Josh Warrington. Your opinions on his performance?
He surprised me. He surprised a lot of people. He's just kind of shown everybody, if you really want something, you can get it. And I'm so happy for him. I hope he enjoys his moment. And there's a lot of young, hungry lions coming through, and it just make them more focused, because I think a lot of, after watching that, mate, anything's possible.
Are you one of those lions that might be chasing him in 12, 18 months?
Well, I am a young lion coming through, but at the moment with me, Steve, it's whatever's put in front of me, I have to keep beating. I can say I'm chasing this person and that person, but my party can get ruined if I don't beat Louis Petit. So once I beat Louis Petit, and in what style I beat Louis Petit, then I can talk and I'll tell you who I'm chasing next.
Steve, I like Raza Hamza. The BoxNation podcast likes Raza Hamza. We've had him on a few times. As you said to him, he's always got something interesting to tell us. I just worry a little bit. Is he putting too much pressure on himself with some of the stuff he's saying there, talking about if he loses, he's not going to box again?
Yes, most fighters, you say, they are putting pressure on themselves, Dev. But if you listen to previous interviews we've had with Raza on the podcast, he doesn't speak that extreme about, retire if I ever lose, I might have to pack up. But he is always confidence, firing out of him. He's like a dragon breathing fire. The confidence is there. And some fighters do that to big themselves up. That fear of defeat drives them on. And I'm sure that's what he's going to take into the Louis Petit fight. Because when you think about it, the Louis Petit fight is a huge step up in class from what he's been facing. I mean, what is it? 8 wins and a draw, 9 wins and a draw. And I don't think he's fought anybody with a winning record. But it doesn't mean he's a bad fighter. Darren Tetley and Mason Cartwright hadn't beat too many men with winning records. The pressure he's putting on himself is perhaps that fear to make him perform. Some fighters act like that. I go back to Nigel Benn. He used to, see Nigel Benn in the dressing room. He would be shaking like a leaf. You'd think this guy isn't capable of winning a fight. So look, this is the step up in class he's been calling for. And look, if Raza believes he's going to go and win a world title, and if you're going to become a world champion, I guess you've got to be seeing off the likes of Louis Petit.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he said. He said if he's going to the top, he needs to, be beating Louis Petits of this world. He also said, Steve, he feels like he's come back as a new fighter, and that's more bad news for Louis. How important is this sparring going to be in his career in general? He's just been in there with one of the modern pound-for-pound greats. I guess history will tell how great he ends up being, but certainly right now he's being looked at as one of the real monsters out there, Naoya Inoue. How important is it that Raza Hamza got that experience?
Oh, look, it's like any young upcoming fighter when they go abroad and spar with a great. What it's going to do for him, confidence-wise, being in that environment, holding his own as he said he was doing. Although he's naturally a lot bigger than Inoue. It should make him a better fighter. Certainly, you can't make him any more confident. But he isn't just what he would have done in sparring there. He would have seen little things how Inoue behaves outside the ring. Little things he does. What he eats, what he drinks, just small things, how he conducts himself, maybe even how he wraps his hands, how the people around Inoue are. He would have learned from that and picked it up. Raza is an intelligent kid. He's not one of these guys who would have just, right, I'm here. You see these American sparring partners come over here sometimes, and you see them, they turn up at the gym, they wrap their hands, they spar and go. He's someone who would have spent time around those people. He would have picked their brains. He wouldn't have been scared of asking a question.
Oh, good. Well, let's see what impact it has. And tell me, Steve, how do you see Inoue and McDonald playing out this weekend?
You know what? I think it's a better fight than people give it credit for. I think McDonald's been fantastic on the road. You know, he's done so much for British boxing. He's been a bit of an unsung hero. I think Inoue, he is coming up against, you know, a modern day great fighter, and I think he will cover himself in glory, but it's not going to be enough in Japan. But you know what? In Japan, if it does go the distance and it's a close one, they're not scared of going with the away fighter. I think we saw one at the weekend with Heike Budler, the South African, in a world title fight, a close one, and he got the decision.
Well, it's going to be an interesting one, Steve, and the winner expected to enter the World Boxing Super Series. But back to Raza Hamza, June 23rd, O2 Arena. He has a step up. Biggest fight of his career so far. He takes on Louis Petit. Tickets are available at axs.com. It's live on BoxNation. That show's a cracker, by the way. It's headlined by Billy Joe Saunders in his first fight since making a mockery of David Lemieux. He since did it a lot on Twitter as well until Lemieux blocked him. But it's his first fight back after that. He's fighting Martin Murray. There's Daniel Dubois against Tom Little. Anthony Yards out. O'Hara Davis versus Josh Leather. It's a cracking show. June 23rd, O2 Arena, live on BoxNation. Well, we've got some live boxing this weekend on BoxNation. We are taking you around the world with the World Series of Boxing. Who fancies a Friday night in Havana? 1 a.m. Friday night. We're taking you all the way to Cuba for the Domadors, which we learnt last week means like matador, kind of someone to tame something, against the French Fighting Roosters. It's the second leg of their contest from last week. Cuba won the first one 3-2. Now they're at home. Let's see if they can do it again. Steve, are you buzzing about that one?
I love the WSB. I've been an advocate of it ever since I started watching it at York Hall when Alexander Usyk and Vasyl Lomachenko marched into York Hall one night, and the place was packed with the London's Ukrainian population.
Ooh, very nice. Well, Friday night, we're taking you to Havana. And then what about Saturday lunchtime, 12:20 p.m.? It's the second leg of the Lionhearts against Kazakhstan. Get behind them. They lost the first leg. They lost 3-2. They've got to pull it back. And what else is there to do on a Saturday afternoon? What you got planned? What are you going to do? A big shop with the missus? Swerve it. Watch the Lionhearts in Kazakhstan. Let's watch them turn it around. Steve, they're going to turn it around, aren't they?
It's a big ask, Dev. That's you're a lot more confident than me there. Obviously, that narrow loss from the first leg at home, you know, when they had a couple late changes to the team that didn't help their cause. But to go to Kazakhstan and pull this one off, basically they need to win 3-2, then go to the side, the reserves decider, or win 4-1. An absolute, it is near to a mission impossible task.
No, Steve, no.
You're going to get, the Kazakhs are so good. They've won it 3 times, the WSB. I just find it so hard for our boys to pull it off. But saying that, well, we've gone to major tournaments in recent years when we haven't been expected and we've delivered. So I'm sitting here with both fingers crossed and the legs crossed, left over right legs and the fingers crossed, hoping they can pull off. And if they did, it would be up there with one of the great achievements by that Team GB squad in Sheffield.
Well, Steve, if you look at my glass of water here, I've drunk half of it. I think it's half full. I think you're going to tell me it's half empty. Come on, let's up the positivity. They're going to do this, Steve. And England are going to win the World Cup. It's all going to happen. Come on.
There's more chance of England winning the World Cup, I think, than the boys pulling this round on Saturday. I'm sorry, but you know what? You still tune in because it's going to be absolutely, it's fantastic. You know, when you watch these WSB shows, how many of them do you think, oh, that wasn't a great watch? They're always competitive, whatever the score.
And as I said, you know, it's on at 12:20. It's early afternoon. I said, oh, maybe, you know, if you're going shopping with the missus, just swerve it. Don't worry. Actually, you can subscribe to BoxNation via the app. Yeah, or via watch.boxnation.com. You can still keep the missus happy. Go shopping with her. Hold the trolley. Hold your phone in the other hand and watch the Lionhearts roar in Kazakhstan on your mobile. And she won't even know. Yeah, you can get away with it. You get away with it, wouldn't you, Steve?
I would normally get away with it, but I won't this Saturday. It's playoff finals day, so it'll be on record for me.
Okay, well, enjoy and good luck. It's Fulham, isn't it? Your boys,
Fulham,
they're gonna do it, aren't they?
I hope so, mate. I might make brash boxing predictions, but I'm not going to make any football predictions.
We'll find out if you go missing next week. Let's see where you are, Steve, eh?
I'll be somewhere next week, but I'll still be on the podcast, mate.
Good man. Steve, I have to say, for the entirety of this episode, there's been something about you. There's been kind of like a real light in your face. You've looked kind of, I don't know, delighted? Talk to me, Steve. What you talking about, Lillis?
I'm not going to blast anyone this week, Dev. I'm going to give a praise to Steve Wood and the job he's done with Terry Flanagan and Josh Warrington. Josh is the new IBF featherweight champion. Terry's on the brink of becoming a two-weight world champion. And although he handed those guys to bigger promoters eventually, for the first 16 fights, he was one of the few people who believed in both men. No one in boxing was saying they were going to be world champions. In fact, if they were going to be British champions, you would almost say it's an overachievement. Steve stood by them. He pumped money into them. He lost fortunes, trust me. And I know that as someone who's quite close to Steve. And I think what he shows is what a good manager can do with a fighter. And what worries me these days, we get promoters these days, and it seems pretty easy to become a promoter these days because so many of these guys do these shows and put fighters on commission-only deals, which isn't the way of building them because I'll get him a win if he pays for that fight. But Steve is one of the few managers and promoters who does the small circuit, who puts his own money in his pocket to build up fighters. Guys like him and Carl Greaves do that fantastically. And I think, Carl's also brought through Sam Bowen to become a British champion. And it just shows what you can do if you're prepared to invest. You can kick on, you can get your money back, and you can bring greatness for your fighters. Well done, Steve Wood.
Now, we are a 24/7 boxing channel here at BoxNation. And here's what's coming up. Thursday, 4 o'clock, Magdaleno versus Dogbay. They run it back. Watch one of the breakout performances of the year as Isaac Dogbay. We learnt it's Dogbay, even though it's spelled Dogbo. I learnt that, really the hard way. He bashed up Jesse Magdaleno to win the World Super Bantamweight title. Steve, one of the performances of the year, isn't it?
He was fantastic, wasn't he, Dogbay, that night? And, we're talking, you mentioned him there. About 2 years ago, there was a year of the upsets, and we seem to be seeing them again recently. Dogbay, Josh Warrington at the weekend. I think it was 2016 or 2015 we had a catalogue of upsets on BoxNation.
Yeah, boxing is looking like one of those sports where there's actually no such thing as a boxing expert, because a lot of boxing experts picked Lee Selby to beat Josh Warrington. Yeah, this is what's happening, and then boxing will just throw that at you. Josh Warrington dominates him. But yeah, Dogbay, another upset, another breakout performance, and that's what we've got Thursday at 4 o'clock. Friday, 7 o'clock, Bunce's Boxing Hour. Free to air on Sky Channel 427. Steve Bunce is back. He'll be looking forward. He'll be looking back. He'll be doing what we do in a sense, but visually. Yeah, free to air. Sky Channel 427, 7 o'clock. What else are you doing? You're not going out, are you? No, you wouldn't go out, would you? No, don't go out. Stay in, watch it. Friday, 7 o'clock. How about Friday night, 1 a.m.? Now, let me just add something here. It is just the time we've been given right now. It could change. Keep an eye on the BoxNation Twitter pages, the Facebook and the Instagram pages, and also the website, as that time may change. But Friday night, 1 a.m, it's the Domidors against the Roosters. It's World Series of Boxing. Saturday, 12:20, Kazakhstan versus the British Lionhearts. It's the second leg. The Lionhearts are down. Watch them roar back to victory. Yes, I am backing the Lionhearts at 12:20, and so should you be, and so is Steve Lillis, aren't you, Steve?
Yeah, I don't share your confidence, Dev, but I'm sure the Lionhearts will leave it all in the ring. And even if they're not roaring after the 5 fights, they will leave Kazakhstan with their reputation intact. And if they lose, looking forward to next year and going one better than the semi-finals and becoming finalists again.
And we are adding fights all the time. Keep an eye on the BoxNation social media pages. And I'll tell you what, we've just added one. How about this? June 30th. I already know what you're doing. You're watching the homecoming of Mick Condon live on BoxNation. That's going to be a fantastic night, a fantastic show. It's going to leave you on a high. And what if you can't sleep? Yeah, what if you're so buzzed from what you've just seen in Belfast that you can't sleep? Well, don't worry about it, because we've got another show for you later on that night. It's probably going to be on air midnight, 1 o'clock. We have got the return of the WBO super middleweight champion, Gilberto Ramirez. He's back, Steve. You know who he's fighting? Talk me through it.
He's fighting Alexis Angulo, a Colombian who can whack. It's we could have, you know what, that night, Dev, I'm just thinking here, we could have about 8-9 hours of live boxing from about 7:30 at night on BoxNation. You know what, Gilberto Ramirez, big things playing from him by Top Rank, 37-0, 25 by KO. But perhaps this Colombian Angulo is going to be a bit more formidable, well, he should be, than the last opponent he defended against, Habib Ahmed. I think Angulo's 23-0. Yeah. 20 by KO. So I think if you add up the records of Angulo and Ramirez, they're 60-0, 45 KO. So you can't miss the fight, can you? You cannot miss the fight. And also, super middleweight division is one we've always loved in Britain. So you can get another look at Ramirez and you can compare how he would get on against George Groves, James DeGale. Bob Arum says he's the #1 super middleweight in the world. Is he? Tune into BoxNation on the 30th on a night of a boxing marathon, and we'll find out where he stands right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And this Roma Alexis Angulo, 23-0, 20 knockouts. You might look at his record and say, yeah, okay, but who are those 20 knockouts? I did the same when Bradley Skeet fought Kerman Leharaja, and we were like, yeah, but who's he knocked out? He then knocked out Bradley Skeet. So let's keep an eye on this fight. You just never know who these guys have knocked out. Is the power real? Sometimes it really is. Sometimes they step it up. So there's every chance of an upset when someone can bang. So we look forward to that one. Just announced today, June 30th. It's going to be Ramirez versus Angulo, and it's going to be live from Oklahoma on BoxNation. We look forward to that one. And Steve, people have got to keep the iTunes reviews coming in, haven't they? I mean, you know, the reviews, there's good ones every now and again. Shall I read one out?
You read one out, but give us, if you're going to review, just give us 5 stars. Come on, we're sitting, the Debster and myself are sitting here. We're chasing interviews all day. Deb's ringing boxers up saying, speak to Lillis, speak to Lillis. He'll be ringing me up at 10 o'clock at night. Lillis, ring this number now. We can only do it now. And we're doing it to bring entertainment to you on the podcast. Different voices, different views every week. So give us a fair crack of the whip on the iTunes reviews, because you know what? It helps the podcast.
It does.
So
well,
much, more than you'd ever imagine. Absolutely.
And it's been appreciated here by this user called, quite suspiciously almost, he's called SSR1232132. And his review says, quality, 5 stars, so that's everything we want. And then he says, brilliant, these podcasts. If you love boxing, love a bit of banter, then these lads are for you. Best boxing podcast, hands down. Get the app as well and watch a bit of Bunsey for free. Call Frank Warren, the postman, because he is delivering. How about that, Steve, from SSR1232132, which he left last week?
SSR123212, if I read it out there. Thank you very much for your review, and we appreciate these reviews when they come in as well. We read them and they're appreciated. They generally are. We're not one of these podcasts who don't look at them and just say thanks for your reviews. Dev and myself do actually read them, and we're grateful. There is that personal sort of connection with people listening here.
Leave a good one. We'll read it out. We'll make you famous, just like we did with SSR12321 just now on the show. So, Steve, another week, another great show. We've heard from Josh Warrington, just fresh after becoming the IBF World Champion. We've heard from Cartwright and Tetley. Cartwright's lip pretty much fell off, but he became a hero, and he became loved by the likes of Davina McCall. His manager was even saying he pulled Davina McCall. Who knows? And I've been drinking Tetley as well, by the way, Steve. So that kind of adds to it all, the whole Tetley thing.
I think I had Tetley this morning. I'm not sure what tea bags Mrs. L brings in, but
it's good tea. Yeah. It's good tea. Well, tell me how much you've enjoyed episode 25, Steve.
I've loved episode 25 as much as I have the previous 24, and I loved them all.
25. If this was a marriage, it would be a silver anniversary.
Oh God, I haven't known you that long, Dev, have I? 25 years.
Remember to tweet us any comments at BoxNation TV, at Steve Lillis, at SonnyDev, and remember to subscribe. It's the best boxing channel in the world. It's 24/7 boxing. It's BoxNation.com. Watch it on Sky, watch it on Virgin, watch it on TalkTalk, watch it on Freeview, watch it on your app, watch it on your laptop. We have got you covered. Thanks for listening.